All right, so that wasn't the 40 plus turnips I wanted to put in, and it definitely wasn't the time of year I wanted to put it in or the space, but sometimes you just got to roll with the punches. All right, it's redemption time. So today we are going to replant the greenhouse after the possum got in, this little guy right here, and we're actually going to put some of the seedlings that they destroyed, or not they, he destroyed out of the 160 tray, and just kind of see how they do, see if they can take the abuse that they took. So let's check out the greenhouse and see what's going on. So we're slowly recovering. Based on what I've left in the greenhouse, there's not a terrible amount of damage. So this is right here. We're gonna remove this today, and then we're gonna plant turnips along this row here. And you can see the carrots. I mean, a little man slept right here, but overall, I think we're good on the carrots. I mean, they look a little beat up, but they'll be all right. So we're just gonna fill in that back row and see what happens. Everything else is looking pretty good, even though he kind of trampled back here. Seems to have recovered good in here. Pleased to announce that the smell is gone. So that is a definite plus. And I also have this new tool here that I'm excited to use. So I'm branching out in my hoe. This is called a Warren hoe. So I got this so I could make deep furrows to plant in. Instead of digging one hole at a time, I can just go all the way down the row. And we'll see how it works in a small space. It might be a little difficult, but this way I can make my furrow and then put my fertilizer in and put the plants in as needed. So this should work out pretty good. I did see some that would work out a little bit better where the front, let me see, the front here, there was a crease that went down the middle, and what that did is that made the hoe itself kind of bevel in a little bit. So actually it went the other way. So as you pulled back, it would kind of pull that soil away from the side of it, but I didn't want to pay an extra 20 bucks. I figured, you know what, it's better than just using the corner of a regular hoe. And this is a little bit more focused in the area, so it should work, but we're gonna test it out right now and see how it goes. Just wanna clear this out. Not needed. We got a couple radishes that got buried by my man, so we'll just eliminate that. Got a little bit of weeds here, a lizard. Don't want to do anything crazy. So all of this is what we'll plant. So this line coming in is an old irrigation system. You can kind of see I'm fumbling with it. Let me just say this. If you're gonna put in an irrigation system, spend the money and get something different. This was garbage. It's just those little orange nozzles that came out, and they worked okay, but it just didn't work for me. So I do need to get that out of here. But if you're gonna buy irrigation, get something that's worth it. So I took a bunch of the seedlings out. These are all turnips. So some of them are looking a little rough, but the roots look good on them. So we're just gonna go through and see what's decent and what's not. Like, I don't think that's gonna grow. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. You never know until you try, right? And it's so late in the season. Like this one right here, see how it snapped? We'll just throw that in the other garden. Gonna be record breaking, but for this little greenhouse and the situation that we're in, and if you don't know what situation we're in, you should check out the video about the possum, because it was definitely a situation. All right, so that wasn't the 40 plus turnips I wanted to put in, and it definitely wasn't the time of year I wanted to put it in or the space, but sometimes you just got to roll with the punches, you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm upset that the possum got in there, but whatever. Now I get to see if my turnips are gonna grow any better and if they'll even make it through all the trauma that they've been. We're gonna give them a light watering, let them set and rest. But I was anticipating putting them in like about a month and trying to squeeze out one more harvest. And I didn't even get a chance to fertilize them in the pots. That's why they're so small. They never even got a chance to be fertilized before they got kind of wrecked. Because I mean, if I start seeds in the greenhouse, then it's cooler, so everything germinates slower. So just the fact that I was able to get them to germinate and they were doing well, made me very happy. So there is that. Now I did see a couple things in the greenhouse that I would like to snack on tonight. So let's get a couple groceries while we're at it. In particular is this mustard. And I know that with the mustard, you've got to really harvest it often, especially in a greenhouse down here in zone 8A in North Carolina, because it can get out of hand quickly. And I'm gonna tell you, oh, one more. There we go. I've learned this year that if you like spicy food, then let the mustard go spicy on you. It's amazing. It's like a horseradish flavor. Love it. So we're happy about that. And so just keep it trimmed and stay on top of it. And then when I come out here to the main part of the garden, there's actually some more stuff. It's green season for sure. So look at this, kale. I mean, can you ask for anything better than that? We might have to have a greens medley tonight. We'll just get a couple leaves for today. And that looks to be about it. The mustard's coming back good from the freeze. I want to just check on my Brussels sprouts real quick because, like I said, we've been trying to grow them for a couple of years, and I'm pretty happy about this situation. Check that out. We are getting some Brussels sprouts this year, ladies and gentlemen. So nice and firm. We'll give it a little bit more. We're not going to get a lot, maybe a meal off this one plant, but I would say that this is the best year I have had yet for Brussels sprouts, and allows me just to kind of narrow down my planting window more and more. Don't know really the right time to trim them. So what I've been doing is treating each plant differently and trimming from the bottom up periodically. And I noticed that once they get to, I think this is the way it works, I could be wrong, never had the luxury of being this far ahead, is once they get to your desired height, you start trimming them up. And then that favors Brussels sprout growth, because of the 3 plants here, this one that I've been showing you is the one that I've trimmed from the bottom up, and it's doing a lot better. So we're getting bigger sprouts. So we're going to continue to trim them from the bottom up so that it can favor the Brussels sprout production over leaves and height, right? So, I mean, this time of year is kind of tricky. It's 75 today, and then in 2 days, it's going to be a high like 50. So, you know the story, up and down, up and down. But the greenhouse the redemption is going on in the greenhouse. We're going to come back out and we're going to plant more out there in the coming weeks. We're looking forward to putting broccoli in probably about a week. We'll try and squeeze some in some areas, and we'll go back through, and I'm going to look and see what needs to come out. Actually, why don't we do that right now and just kind of have an idea about what we might be pulling out of there. So it'll definitely be tough decision time, but for instance, this lettuce is actually rebounding pretty well from the possum situation. We do have some hurting leaves, so we'll see how that goes. But that is prime time area for a couple of broccoli plants. Over here is just where I dropped some seeds, and I was like, oh, let me see if they'll grow. But if they're not going to grow, I'm going to get them out. It looks like these rutabagas are going to be coming out shortly, so we'll be putting those in too. We may just put more broccoli or more rutabaga in right there. And these Brussels sprouts are much smaller, so they're looking like they want to produce. But as these lettuce plants come out, then that's where we're going to drop more in, stuff like that. Our kale's going to take off. It's already getting a lot bigger. So we'll do that. And then the turnips here, not turnips, the rutabagas, they're actually growing pretty well. So they should be on their way. And I mean, there's one reason why everything's growing so well. Could be one thing. It could be an abnormal amount of possum piss that's in there fertilizing everything, which I highly doubt because we've watered it down and diluted it very well. But the other thing too is we're almost a month out from the winter solstice, so we're getting more sun right now, and that's reflecting in the way things are growing in our garden. So that's why we know, like, hey, towards the end of January it really starts to ramp up and we start getting more and more sunlight, and the sun will now start getting higher and higher. So it's all uphill from here, you know what I mean? Well, uphill as far as the sun going up. So the gardens are going to start getting more and more sun over the weeks, and that's really what fuels our garden's growth. It's not a sexy topic, but sunlight is important.
Goodbye.